Morning, morning, morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have the lovely Jordan in the house.
Hello. Hi, Simon. How are we doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Nice to have you here. And she has her own embroidery.
I do. So I run my own embroidery business. I've just had a little boy called Ernie. He's 1 now. And obviously being on maternity leave is absolutely savage out there financially. Us mums, we don't get a lot of support. So yeah, I've tried to set up my own business whilst I was on maternity leave, not only to help from that financial aspect, but also it's very difficult, I think, when you become a mum. And I don't know if you're a parent, Simon.
Yeah, I've got 4 kids.
When you become a parent, you become that dad, don't you? You become a mum. And that's sometimes, I think, it's difficult for people to separate your personality and your person as what makes you who you are away from being a parent. And I was very keen to make sure that not everyone knew me as mum or Ernie's mum, and that I retained some of my personality and hobbies. So yeah, I've probably rambled.
No, it's interesting because, you know what, to me there's nothing being wrong with being known as Ernie's mum because...
Oh no, it's the best job in the entire world, but...
Because she's only for a short time.
Exactly
maybe
that.
5-10 years at the most.
Exactly,
And
but they're
then-
only little for a very little period.
It goes past in a flash, believe me, I know. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
28, 18, 6 and 3.
Oh,
And I have 2 grandchildren.
oh,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
And stuff. Mm-hmm.
As if you have a child that's the same age as me. Oh, Simon, you don't look old enough, mate.
So this embroidery, what gave you the idea? Furthermore, what's the name of the company?
So I run a business called Stitches Ain't Knit. I'm a massive... Stitches Ain't Knit.
Ain't it?
So I'm
That
a
sounds
massive...
like snitches get stitches.
Exactly that. So I'm a massive 90s hip hop fan. Me and my husband are huge hip hop fans. And obviously the Chronic, Dr. Dre, we got Bitches Ain't Shit.
Okay, yeah.
So when we were trying to come up with a name for our business, my business, we wanted to play on some of the things that make me me, which is why I set it up.
Okay.
And one of my favourite passions in life is hip hop. Is something I love, and I love music.
To look at you, I wouldn't think
I
of
know! People think, oh, that girl from the West Country. Uber. And I just thought it would be funny. I mean, when I set up the business, I was thinking, like, having a child, you get lots of clothing and things for babies that's very, like, I love mummy, I love daddy. It's not very cool, is it? It's just not a bit of me. And so I was looking for more sort of non-kosher clothing for children, bit tongue-in-cheek, bit cheeky. And I just thought it would be really cool to set up an embroidery company that embodied those cheeky elements of my personality. It turns out that everyone just wants their child's name on a cardigan. So at the moment, the majority of the work I do is sort of personalising items and handmade knitwear.
That's interesting because a couple of things come to mind. Do you do it as a patch, or do you do it like when I say a patch, like on a piece of cloth, embroider the name and then sew that name on?
No. So
or it's actually on the garment.
No, it's embroidered into the garment.
And do they bring you the garment, or do you supply the garment?
A little bit of both. So when I first started, I was making all of the garments myself. And I quickly realised that this is not sustainable. Like, it takes so long to knit or crochet an item of clothing for a child. So I sort of quickly realised I can't do this. Like, I'm going to be so busy. So I reached out to a couple of local knitters, basically little nanas that love to knit, but potentially are never paid for their trade, especially like a living wage. So I pay them for their time and for their trade, and now outsource a lot of my knitting.
Nannies.
Little nannies, yeah.
that's
So
a
I've
good
got
idea.
I've got a team of nanas that knit for me, and then I focus on the embroidery. However, I do offer a send-in service where people can send in their own garments. So if you've had a child and maybe you've got a mum or a grandparent that's knitted something for the child and you'd like it personalised, a sort of heirloom sentimental piece, then they can also send that in. Or maybe it's not knitted, maybe it's a pair of dungarees or a little denim jacket or something that you want personalised. I can also do that. So yeah, there's a couple of options on how you can have things embroidered, but yeah, when I first started out, I was making everything and it was utter craziness.
What springs to mind is a couple of things. You know where sadly we have bad people in the world, and if the child has a name tag on them, the person goes, "Oh, your mum told me, Billy, your mum told me to..."
I've had this a lot from children, but the only thing that I can draw on is that being a mum, especially a mum to a 1-year-old who started to explore for himself, and he's got a voice of his own, the amount of times that I scream Ernie when I'm doing our weekly shopping is infinite amount of times. And there's no difference between my own child Ernie or Ernest wearing an item of clothing with his name on than me as a mum saying his name. And there's a lot of, I mean, my husband works in children's social care anyway, and he's an expert in safeguarding children, so there's a lot to be said about the safety of children in the public space. But and I obviously advocate for that. I've got a child of my own. I would never want to compromise his own safety. But you do find, especially nowadays in the digital age, I work in social media, predators research before they prey.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very easy to find details about people on like Facebook or Instagram. People share a lot about their lives. It's not difficult to find information about people. Especially when you've got kids, you're taking pictures of them all the time. And I know obviously people have safety concerns, and I can only defend the safety of children and my own child. But what I do say is that I don't believe personally that my products compromise the safety of children any more than saying your own child's name in public.
I understand that.
It's a really difficult one, and we could talk about it all day. It's just the
positive thing about what you're doing is that, as my son's mum used to always complain, someone stole his jumper at school again.
Exactly that. It's got his name on it.
There's no argument unless there's like two Ernies in school. I suppose it's not the most popular name. But yeah.
Exactly that. And I think it's just a really nice piece, especially so a lot of the mums that make up my customer base are brand new mums, so they maybe haven't had their child yet, or they've had their child and they're very, very little. And obviously having that garment that's as tiny as your child when they're first born, and them outgrowing it, being able to save that and frame it and keep it as an heirloom item is like, there's no other. There's just no other comparison. Like being able to hang that item up in your child's nursery and remember how small they were is, it does. I mean, me as a mum gets me very emotional, and I know from the feedback I've had from other mums that I've met through this journey is very sentimental piece. And I think when you name a child, especially your first child, it's a big deal as a parent. Like being able to have an item that commemorates that is definitely a special thing, and that's all I want to do for my business is do well and capture those memories of having a child that's that small and that tiny, and those memories.
What's been the hardest thing, the thing that you wish you knew at the start that you've learnt during this journey?
So when I started when my son was 6 weeks old. So obviously when you have a newborn, they sleep a lot. Becoming a new mum is, I mean, I don't minimise it to any extent. It's no mean feat. It's very, especially a first time mum or a first time parent, it is the most difficult job, and it's the biggest adaptation I think you'll ever have in your life. Like going from only having to look after yourself to overnight having to look after this little thing that needs you for everything is truly life-changing. However, having time to myself away from, like, obviously when he's sleeping, and work and family, being in that bubble is definitely an opportunity to seize. Whether you start your own business or you just take time for yourself and have that self-care, I think is really important. What I wish I could go back and tell myself, is that babies grow and they get more independent and they start moving, and it's great. It's the best thing to see, like you nurturing this little thing and they're growing and they're learning new things. as they grow and they learn, they just become more manic. And Ernie at the moment is like a little tornado. Like, he's the best baby in the entire world. He's an angel. But by God, I have no time. And I think if I could go back and tell myself, I'd just be like, just take it easy on yourself. Like, this is a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And everything that you do is good. You're not, every decision you make and every order you process and every customer you meet is doing good. And you don't have to do it all at once. Like, you don't, people take their own journey, especially in business. And I say it for all small businesses, like, you don't need to be the most, you don't need to be Steve Jobs overnight. You don't need to have it all overnight. It's a big learning curve. It's a journey. Just be kind to yourself. And I think I'm a massive believer in fate, and I think that things will come right in the end. If you're working towards your goals, it doesn't matter whether you're taking a step or a leap, you're still working towards your goals.
What does the future hold for your company?
Oh, so it's a bit of a difficult one at the moment. My business has grown exponentially, which I can only, like, it's the best thing in the world, especially in the climate that we're in at the moment. Economically, we're going through very hard times, and to have a small business in this territory is very difficult, and lots of small businesses have closed.
Mothercare's gone. So
exactly that, and they're a big conglomerate.
Yeah,
so
but if you think about it, that makes so much space for you. It's like Pablo Escobar going, you're one of the cartels.
I'm going to be the cardi dealer of the world.
Yeah, you're going to be one of the cartels, Cali cartel.
I think, like, the future's very difficult at the moment. I think everyone is thinking, like, what's going to happen in the next month? What's going to happen in the next couple of months? What's going to happen in a year? Just in life, not in business, just in normal everyday life. I don't know. I'm kind of, at the moment, I'm juggling my corporate job and this business and being a mum and trying to just be a functioning human being. And I don't know where that's going to take me. I'm kind of using it as a test to see how I get on. If my business grows, fantastic. I'd love to just build and build on it. I'd love to be fully self-employed and my own boss, but obviously it's difficult. I think when you become a parent, you realise you've got another entire human being to look after, and that you're the sole carer of, and the decisions that you make will always be affected by that tiny little person. Which is probably why I've not taken the leap at the moment to become completely full-time. I did hand in my notice at work, but when this opportunity came up, it was the security that I think I could only ask for. It's a difficult one. You don't know what's going to happen, Simon. You don't know what's going to happen.
Unless
We've had like 5 prime ministers in the last 3 months.
you know when that comes, like we're one of those South American companies that goes Viva la vida.
They're like buses.
Okay.
So I have no idea. I can only hope that it would grow and I can build on it and work on it, but I just don't know. Like, I never thought, I mean, I've just celebrated my first business birthday, and to be honest, I never thought I'd get here. I thought it was going to be a maternity hustle, and it was going to keep me busy whilst I was raising my son, and it's just grown into this absolute beast.
How many staff do you employ, or people?
So I don't employ any staff, but I do pay suppliers. So I've got, I think, 7 local knitters. Well, not just local, actually. I've got one up in Warrington. There's one in Oxford. So a few local knitters that I pay for their services, but then by no means employees. They're more suppliers, so they supply me with the product, and I personalise and run my business. I'd love to expand it so that I had another one of me or another few of me, so I could maybe upskill a few people to embroider as well, but it's very difficult when it's your own business, it's your baby. I've always said, like, when I had Ernie and I started this business, it's like I've raised 2 kids, not just one. I've had this as well to nurture and love and grow, and it's going to be a big step, I think, for me to let some of that responsibility go and upskill people to do what I do, because obviously when you run your own business, it's your heart and soul, and I only ever want to put that into it. So I think there's a bit of fear there, like, especially with the business that I run. It's a difficult one, And obviously you need to expand and you need to grow to make it sustainable, but it's not a leap I've taken yet or thought about. Maybe in a year's time we'll see.
Has there been any decisions that you've made that you wish you didn't make?
God.
Or any decisions that you haven't made that you realise that you should have made?
There's no decisions that I haven't made that I should have made. I know that with the business that I'm in, especially at the end of the day, it's fashion, it's garment making. And I think there's a lot of businesses like mine that source their garments. They're not handmade from China and the Far East. And it's not sustainable. It's detrimental to human rights. There are people in sweatshops making items like mine. And I think that I could have made more money and I could have made my business a lot easier if I had gone down that route. But I'm very passionate about sustainable fashion, especially for children, and handmade fashion. I think there's so many of the big clothing brands at the moment, especially in fast fashion, like the Sheins of the world, where clothing is seen as a throwaway, a disposable thing.
Like Primark.
Primark is another one. And although that has its place in our world, and there are affordable fashion brands out there, that is not one that I would like to build my business on or be associated with. I'm very much of a eco-friendly, sustainable business, and I think it's very important for small businesses to retain those values. It's very, very easy to get caught up in the profit and the making money, and it's so easy to make money by outsourcing things to China and to factories in India, and it's very lucrative, but at the end of the day, that's not the person I am.
So what would you say your company stands for?
I think it sounds really silly, but just making parents and children happy. Fundamentally, just making memories in our clothing and holding on to the time, the very, very precious time that, like you said earlier, it goes very quickly, of when your child was small, and that sentimental aspect. I think that's what we stand for. And the fact that my brand and my business gets to be a part of so many tiny humans' lives is second to none. There's nothing that compares to it. The amount of messages that I get and reviews that say, like, you've made my child's childhood so special, like, we've really cherished what you do, is just uncomparable. You cannot come anywhere close to it, and it's why I do what I do. I think when I first started my business, it was all about becoming independent, having more time with my son, being able to set up my own business, etc., etc. And now it's grown to a point where I do this because I can change people's lives and I can create special memories that they maybe wouldn't have had. Those photos where you have little kids in their knits and they're really small, and it's bizarre. It sounds bizarre, like, to the everyday person, but for me in this world, it's just, nothing compares.
What would you say to your 16-year-old self?
Dump him.
Okay.
Get rid of him. He's a nightmare.
Okay. But you sound like a happy person, though.
I'm extremely fulfilled and happy. I have difficulties. We all do. I have lots of issues with mental health. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life, but I think we all have, in lots of different ways and lots of different aspects. And
how have you overcome your trauma? Because you sound very grounded. You sound very focused.
Oh, God. Well, I lost my mum to suicide at 15.
Oh, is it?
So, my whole world just imploded. And I think as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, especially a girl as well, lose their mum, it's a difficult place to be in. I'm not gonna...
Were you an only child?
Yeah, I'm an only child.
Oh, so that's really...
Very savage, literally just me and my dad. And I think it sounds very privileged and like a fortune to say this, but you have the decision to make. Do you let this trauma become you, or do you let this trauma build you?
Yeah.
like, does it overcome everything that you are as a person? And you're like, oh, my mum's died, so that's the person I'm going to be, and I'm going to be self-destructive, and or do I say, this is a situation that's happened, and it sounds brutal, but I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to build myself from this.
We say, God don't give you more than you can bear.
Exactly that. And it's never been truer. And I think, like, obviously in this situation that happened, like, I've grown up watching my mum struggle with mental health difficulties, and I just think, like, if anything, yeah, this has happened, but she would want me to be stronger. She would want me to have the things I want in life, and she'd want me to work hard, and she'd want me to be stronger because of this. And it's really difficult, I think, when you're in it, especially grief, and this particular type of grief. You can let it drown you, and it does become suffocating at points. But it sounds bizarre, but I'm so thankful that I've had this situation happen, because I would not be the person that I am today without that situation. I would not be this strong and this resilient and this driven, especially for my own child, if this situation hadn't have happened. It's a really difficult one, like, to say, like, what would you say to your 16-year-old self? God, you could do all the fluffy stuff, like, it'll get better and this, but I really think, like, I'll be savage. I think dump him. You do you, girl. Like, you be your own person. You are strong enough without other people. You can do this. That's what I would say.
But then we all have people. You may not realise it, but you do. For instance, I'm in your life at this present moment.
You are, Simon, and I'm so happy that you are.
I'm just saying, in the next 6 minutes, you will probably never see me again.
Oh, but I'll find you on socials.
Everybody you meet on the journey of life, a season, a reason, and a lifetime.
Exactly that.
All build you, so...
Every person you meet in this life will touch you in some way or another.
Yeah.
And there'll be a time in, who knows when it'll be, where I'll think about that time I had that really lovely conversation with Simon the taxi man. And he kept me safe on my journey through London, and he got me to Paddington for my train.
Okay.
It's this, and he made me think about things that I've not thought about for a very, very long time. And it's those, I think those moments are those to be cherished. Get me all emotional here, Simon.
Don't worry, no, it's all good. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's what the taxi ride's about, man. When you hear the other episodes, that's for lots of people. Remind people where they can find you.
Exactly that.
What social media platform or
website? Well, literally everywhere. I work in social media for my corporate job, but Stitches8knit _ on Instagram, Stitches8knit on TikTok.
Do you want to spell it for us?
What, Stitches8knit?
Yeah, that's what you do.
Stitches, STITCHES, ain't, AINT, knit, KNIT, _ on Instagram, or Stitches8knit on TikTok.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well. We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channel. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.